Hi, my name is Trish, the core behavioral therapist, and today my guest is Hoja. Aya is a Turkmen American actor, model, and dancer born in Ashgabat, Turkmenistan. Performance art has been a passion of hers since birth. She spent most of her childhood in Turkmenistan, attending a musical school and learning how to act, dance, and play piano. She has lived in the San Francisco Bay Area for 20 years, received a bachelor's degree in marketing from San Francisco State University, and had a successful career working in sales and marketing at a publishing company. As a natural trailblazer, she decided to venture out of the corporate world to follow her love for performance art. Since then, she has appeared in several short and feature films, commercials, television shows, and industrial videos. How are you doing? Thanks for being part
Wow.
of my podcast, Aya.
Thanks. Actually, thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So me and Aya, it's really interesting. We met because we both. So I also I act and I model on the side as well as being a therapist. And me and Aya met at a play that we both auditioned for, and we got the parts for, and we performed together. And she was fabulous, by the way. And then the second time we met, and then we knew it was meant to be that we were supposed to be friends. We
Yep.
actually, yeah, we actually modeled for a hair company from New York City called Bumble, and that was pretty fun, Naya, running.
Yeah, oh yeah. That was amazing. That was such an awesome experience. Yeah, and you were wonderful in the play as well, just so you know, just so your audience knows. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
keep telling everyone, well, not everyone, but I keep telling you, Trish, that your voice is just so fabulous. You need to be on the podcast. So I'm glad you're doing this.
Thank you, thank you. Definitely took your advice. Right.
Yay.
So the reason why I invited you on it, I thought that this is a mental health podcast, right? And
Mhm.
you being an artist, you basically walked away from the corporate world and now you're a dancer, actor, and performer. How has COVID-19 been affecting you in the entertainment industry?
Well, I think like everyone else, the first month was definitely rough, right? We all had to kind of figure out what the new normal was and just adapt to this craziness that, seclusion. I think because humans, we're generally social people, we
Yeah,
wanted that social, interaction, and we didn't really get that, right?
right,
So I think for me, it was just a lot of adapting to that. I personally am not a social person, but I do miss acting, right? Like I didn't get any acting jobs, and I started kind of thinking like, well, what's the future going to look like? And when my mind started spiraling towards the future, it took me a while to really figure that process out because it's not healthy. I don't think it's healthy for anyone to live in the future that does not exist. So you have to really practice being in the present moment. So for me, I ended up really focusing on the present moment, focusing on what was within my control, which was meditating a lot, reading, trying to educate myself, like, okay, well, what else can I do to, like, yes, there aren't any jobs, but what can I do that's within my control to still continue to work on my brand, right? Work on
right.
myself. So I've just really focused on that. And, these past few months have just flown by, to be honest with you, because I was just so focused on myself, focused on building my website, blogging, editing videos. Like just I could find so much work that I could do that was within my control. And so there'd be random people reaching out to me like, "Oh, you seem like you're always busy." I'm like, "Well, yes, I am really busy because I have so much work that I could be doing that I haven't done when I went pre-COVID." So yeah, no, it's been a different shift, but it's been a good shift
Right.
in my world. So yeah, I was able to manage to figure out like new strategies, new ideas, and more work that I could give to myself while the work that I would prefer to do, right, which was acting, modeling, or dancing, auditioning. While I didn't have that, what else could I do? Put my energy in something else.
Right. That's so good. So a couple of things I heard before, if your mind was about to spiral, you would stop yourself and just
Hmm.
basically think about the being in the present.
Yeah.
I call that mindfulness, like really being in the present and not worrying about the future type
Yeah.
of a thing. Um, the artists I have spoken to, have had a different perspective about this. A lot of people have not been getting work, and they are really struggling with COVID and being in isolation and not
Mm.
auditioning. But it seems to me that you use some positive psychology here when you kept thinking positive about yourself, and you focus on yourself and focus on what you can do because things were not of your control. Only you were in control of yourself. And I think that's excellent. Can you
Thank you.
speak to more about that?
Yeah, I think part of, again, really going back to focusing on what's within your control. I have a sales and marketing background, right?
Yeah,
So it's in sales, especially, you have to qualify your leads. You have to figure out who you're going after first. But before you go into that step, you really have to take a step back and figure out what's your move. What do you have to do before you get there?
right,
So I took that same approach with COVID, right? Like I'm like, okay, well, I want all these amazing opportunities to come to me, right?
right,
And we've talked about this in the past. Like I try to live my life in abundance mindset, right? Like, okay, all the things that are meant for me will come to me,
yeah,
but what am I going to do right now to be ready for that opportunity, right? So that was the mindset, right? So it's, again, it comes back to, okay, there are days that I wasn't myself. I wasn't a strong mindful person as I am right now, right? Like you'll have those days where you don't feel as powerful or as strong as you did yesterday, and that's okay.
right,
And so on those days, what I would do is I would read a book, I'd open a book, I would meditate, I would really focus on looking within. It's all within, trying to do the internal work, because
right,
that's what's within your control. So again, like if I hear myself thinking about the future, or if I hear myself with negative thoughts, negative words, I'm like, whoa, 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 let's take a step back. Where is this coming from? Who planted that seed onto your head? A
right,
lot of times when I did question that, then it would be going back to, it was like an investigation work almost, like, okay, well, who planted the seed?
right.
News, right? Like it's the news. It's always the news that overhype everything. Like the world's going to end. I'm like, okay, well, shit, if the world's ending, and excuse my
It's okay.
French, if the world's ending, then I might as well enjoy myself. Okay, I'll let
Right,
myself splurge a day or two, right? But again, it's going back to what makes me happy, and
right.
really taking care of my well-being, mental, physical, spiritual well-being. So reading books and just expanding my knowledge internally.
That's so good. Oh my gosh, that's excellent. So once a couple of things I heard, once you heard these negative voices in your head, you stopped yourself and said, let's take a step back. And you did further investigation to be like, who planted these seeds in my
Mhm.
brain? Um, so those are negative voices. And the fact that you were able to acknowledge it right away, that's pretty big because some people they don't know how to stop those thoughts, and some people aren't really thinking about, hey, where did I hear this from
Oh
initially,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And I really appreciate you speaking about meditation and reading books and whatnot. Can you talk us through maybe what type of meditations you do or give an example? Um, do you have anything
yeah.
like that? Or, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely, I'm happy to even share my book list with you if you
Yeah,
want. But I think with the meditation, or with just identifying, like, okay, well, what these negative thoughts are coming to my head, or who, and then doing that as investigation work afterwards. Like, I think part of it again comes back to sales, right? That sales experience, because in the world of consumerism, you have so many different companies coming at you and selling you pretty much the same product, but in just their own branding, right? And
right,
so I knew at that time in sales, like, okay, we're going to have to plant a seed to this customer who we want business from.
right,
So I kind of used that approach. I'm like, okay, well, all these companies, all this noise, right, through social media, the news, everything, I use that same approach. I'm the consumer to many, many companies. So I'm like, okay, well, all these thoughts that have come into my head, someone planted them, right? It's always someone planted these things. Someone planted the idea. That could be your parents, it could be your uncle, right? Like it could all be just
anybody. Yeah, could be any
anybody. Exactly. So
teacher,
you have to,
bosses, like previous
yeah,
supervisors. It could be
ex-
anyone. Yeah,
conditioning. Yeah, you just have all of these things that um, have accumulated in your head. So you refer back to them, when a life situation happens. And it's it's not, I would not say it's a healthy thing. So that's where I turn to meditation. That's where I turn to spiritual books to really kind of bring awareness to stuff, to that psychological mindset that we've conditioned to have or grow with. And with meditation, I use this app. It's called Insight Timer. It's
Inside,
free.
there's the app. Okay.
Insight Timer, yeah. And I try to use it once a day. Sometimes I'll use it, and there aren't just a meditation timer. There are also like guided meditations, and there are also like podcasts within themselves, focusing on spirituality, meditation, and all of that fun stuff. It's just really good to listen to them because, again, it's kind of well, at the end, you're the one forcing yourself to sit still for a few minutes, right? And I started meditating, I would say about 2-3 years ago, when my life was just so intense with stress. I
Mhm.
needed something to really take a moment and just really appreciate that moment, which was meditation for me at the time. Just really breathe in, admire my environment and where I was, and just looking at birds chirping right outside and looking at the trees. It was just all these things that really bringing you back to this present moment of reality. And that is all you really have, is this precious moment, not
Right.
5 minutes from now, not 10 minutes from now, not 4 hours from, and I was in sales, and I keep saying this, but I was a super
You
shy
really
person.
love sales.
I did not love sales at all, but I forced myself, I challenged myself to go into sales because I wanted to overcome the shyness. Like, I was such a shy person.
Mhm.
Before I went into sales, I was even shy and mortified of presenting when I was in marketing, but I loved marketing because it was so creative. So I
Right.
went into sales to really get myself to sweat. Like, I did not like cold calling. I did not like knocking on random people's doors and saying,
Right.
"Hey, would you like to buy?" Like, it was mortifying, and I would get scared every single day. I did this for 3 years. It was torture. um, I did it to myself because I
Let this
challenged
be a
myself, like, I can do this. um,
let this be a lesson. You should do what you love.
Absolutely that, but also you have to push yourself, right? Like, if you have a certain goal, and for me, when I went into sales, I really wanted to prove to myself that I could run a business, and I did. I managed to prove to myself that I could do it.
Nice.
But every single day, I was so scared of going on campus and going up into the front, picking up the call and just calling people like, "Hey, would you mind buying?" I was such a shy
Right.
person. And so it took, in order to take all these guts and just that effort, right? That confidence, I really had to step back and meditate
Right.
and really take that moment, like, okay, you're not going to die if you pick up the phone and call this person. You're not going to die if you go to campus and you
Exactly.
go outside of your comfort zone. You're going to be okay. And it all goes back to meditating and really just appreciating that moment, because honestly, it's the fear that really holds everyone back. It's
That
the
fear, man.
overthinking,
That
the
fear
fear.
holds people
Yeah.
back.
And I refuse. I'm a big advocate. Like, I refuse fear to hold me back. I rather do it and say I did it
Hmm.
than have fear hold me back and say, shit, I should have done it. I
Right.
should have done it. And it's like, well, you had the opportunity. It was presented to you at that moment. Why didn't you do it?
Right. No
And
regrets. Yeah.
yeah, so I just chose to live my life with no regrets. I rather regret that I did it than not do it. So, and it's been great. Yeah.
That's so awesome. Oh my gosh. Like, that's so inspiring. That fear, it does hold you back. But you said a couple key things. You stepped out of your comfort zone. You talked about
Absolutely.
living in abundance. That's so powerful. How can someone live in abundance now during COVID-19? Because you seem so like you're killing it. Aya, you are living in abundance. I mean, this woman, she's in feature films already. She's getting auditions. She's getting roles. So I'm seeing this manifest. I'm seeing the progress with Aya. I'm seeing this with you. So what can you tell people out there? Like, how do you live in abundance during this time? How do you do it?
Thank you. Um, you know, I definitely do my affirmations every single morning, but I also I like to the mindset that I have, like, kill multiple birds with one stone. So, like, I'll actually have a list of affirmations while I'm brushing my teeth. So
Awesome.
that's great. Yeah, it's great. It, like,
Say.
huh?
Let's hear it. What are your positive affirmations you say while you're brushing your teeth? Let's hear it.
Well, actually, I have like a post-it note.
Nice.
But it focuses on the powerful, like being healthy, being lucky, being like one of them that I even when I'm like passing by the sink and everything, like there's one post-it note that says like I am at the right place at the right time all the time. Something like that.
That,
And when you even just read that,
right,
you start believing it, and once you believe it, that's where that abundance, right, like that abundant state of mind really manifests, at least for
right,
me, because yes, I'm getting all these auditions, I'm getting all these amazing jobs, I'm getting a bunch of notice, like getting noticed, but not everyone comes through. Like then they'll say like, oh, we went with someone else. I'm like, okay, well, that's great, I wish you all the best. That clearly shows that that opportunity was not meant for me, but it was meant for someone else.
right.
The one that's meant for me will not miss me. So when you have these
Can you repeat
inner,
that last part? I really like what you just said. The one
what
that
is, yeah, what's meant for me will not miss me.
I love that. The
Yeah.
trademark that. That's good.
Yeah, thanks. No, I think it's like on Pinterest. Girl, I'm on Pinterest as well. Like I have my own board of spiritual positive stuff. Like if I'm ever feeling down, like I always have a go-to. I know someone who even told me like, they listen to motivational speakers first thing in the morning.
Right,
So there's just, I don't think there's a system in place that how can it fits everyone, right? I
right.
think it's just you have to adapt or adopt to what works for you. Something that really gets you going, something that really motivates you to just keep going and, making you feel like you're on fire and that you can accomplish whatever you set your mind to do for that specific day and just keep doing that every single day, you
Yeah.
know?
So it's like a habit. Does it turn into a habit and like a repetitive habit that?
Absolutely. I
Mhm.
think it should.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely, for me, it has my affirmations and my meditation, reading these spiritual books. Like that's all I have. Like I have to do this at least once a day, like at least multiple times a week, because otherwise then I start falling off.
No excuses. You have
No,
to do it each day.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That's
I
awesome.
think
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think gratitude, right? Like being grateful and being aware of what you already have. Sometimes I'll even hear myself, I'm like, oh, like, why is this and this is not working, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, hold on. First off, the audacity of this girl complaining that something's not working. Girl, 2 years ago, you never even imagined you would be on this path. The fact
Right,
that it's not working, be grateful for that too.
right.
So it's always that consistent reminder of like, you could have been worse. Like just look back 3 years ago,
Yeah.
where you were and where you are now, and that
Oh,
also kind of keeps me humble as well.
that's great. Gratitude, keeping you humble, reminding yourself where you were and how far you've
Mhm.
come. That's
Yeah.
so, so powerful. Would you mind telling us some of the books that you're reading? Do you remember some of the titles? If not, that's okay. But
Yeah, so I will definitely tell you one of my favorite
yeah.
authors. His name is Eckhart Tolle. I think that's how you say
Oh,
his name.
yeah. I read him too, Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, yeah.
Tolle, yeah. So I always mess up one of his versions of his
Yeah.
name. Which one did you read?
A New Earth? Is that the one?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, that's the one that I was going to
I didn't
recommend.
know you read that, girl. Wow.
Yes,
That's so-
yes, I love that book. It's
oh man,
just,
he's great.
yeah.
He's
I've,
all
I,
about like nature and peace and being. Nature is so important. Oh my gosh, and being at peace and in the present. Oh, it's so powerful. It's a good book.
yeah,
Great book.
yeah. I read his other book too, The Power of Now. That one, it was more very intense in the power of now and how we need to practice it and stuff. I feel like, I don't know, I connected more with the New Earth. That really kind of opened up a lot of for me, like opened up my eyes.
Yeah.
Another one, I forgot her name, the author's name, but the book is called You Are a Badass.
Oh, I read that one
Um,
too. It's good.
Oh, yeah, it's amazing. It was
I
just so
love that
good.
book. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with me, like when I see something like that author from You Are the Badass,
Right.
she said like, oh, just try even playing with life, like be an alien in your own body for 24 hours. I don't know if you ever read that part. I was just like, oh, I would like to see how what that feels like. And I did. I one time I think it was during COVID. I was like, let me see what Aya's life looks like. And I started just taking notes. I'm like, okay, well, Aya does this. Aya likes to dance a lot. Aya's weird. Or like Aya likes chocolate.
I
You know,
love
like I'll start observing all these things as an alien, like in my own body. Yeah, it was
so
that
cool.
they hit that rock bottom. But it's so fun. Like I would recommend for anyone to just,
Yeah,
especially
it's like a
during COVID.
self-assessment. It's like basically
Yeah.
you're studying yourself and what, oh my gosh, I love that, Aya. Like during this time, people can
Yep.
study themselves, be an alien in your own body and just study yourself. How else
Exactly.
are you going to know yourself? I truly believe like COVID is also bringing people together over Zoom, especially this, but I also believe people are learning about themselves. So that was so
Absolutely.
important and vital what you just said.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
were some of
no.
the things you learned about yourself
What
besides
did I
the
learn?
chocolate that you love chocolate?
Oh no, that one I knew already.
Right.
I'm sure I have a list somewhere on the table of all the
The
things that I learned.
one thing you discovered about yourself
I
during this
will
time.
say, yeah, this wasn't during my alien challenge. It was just what I discovered in just general is that I'm really willing to help people
Yeah.
without any attachment. Like I love it, it brings so much pleasure to me to help others,
Yeah.
like-minded, like-hearted people. I think when you live and you take that approach in life, all those things come back in return, not through the same people, but and so I think the approach that I take is really just give my efforts, give myself to the world, to the people, because what goes around comes around, like that's the mindset. Actually, I took this approach from this one book. I forgot the author. I'm so bad with names, so I apologize, but the name of the book is called The Go Giver. It was just so brilliant. Just again, teaching about giving, and without any expectations, just giving, listening. Listening is also giving, right? Like when you're just
Powerful. It's
right,
so
and like you're
powerful.
just listening to your mother talk or your whoever, right? Like
Yeah.
whoever you're sharing space with. Sometimes someone needs to let it out, and the fact that you're just there listening and not interrupting or just not being rude and saying whatever, like, and walking away,
Right.
that's also giving, and that other person will appreciate that. And we don't really think about these things, the impact that we make. Um, so that's what I learned about myself, is just I really enjoy giving, and it brings me a lot of pleasure.
That's so awesome. And you said that you give, but you're not giving to expect something. But when you give, you do get like these blessings and gifts and
Yeah.
whatnot. But it's not the motive of why you give, and that's
Right.
so good.
No, no, no. Yeah. Like if I give, I really give for the sake of giving because that brings me pleasure. And
Right.
I know, like, one, like, let's just say I'm giving something to you, Trish, but I'm not expecting anything from you. Like, I give because I admire you. Like, I have fun with you. I'm enjoying this giving, right? Like,
Right.
and it's just I know, like, again, with that mindset of what goes around comes around. Like if I'm a nice person, I know things will come to me when
Right.
it's my time, and that's that same life of abundance, like just living in that mindset of just giving and knowing that, having faith that when it's your time, things will come.
So good. Living in abundance, some people, and I actually do this too. Have you ever had a vision board?
I do, yes.
Hey, let's talk about it. Let's go.
All right, what do you want to know?
I want to know, on your vision board, has anything come true that you really wanted, or in the maybe your past vision boards, or
You
one?
know what? Yeah, that's a really great question. So I started like a vision board. I put it in my journal. So I like journaling. I've been journaling. It's my way of like time traveling into the past, semi future. So I'm really into that. And I remember adding some photos of just like a studio, cameras, and this was when I was still in sales.
Wow.
And yeah,
When
yeah,
when you're in corporate, you did this?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, so I think about 2 years ago. Yeah. I put in some photos that I got from Google, and it's just like, okay, I would like to travel. I would like to be on set, but I didn't even know, like, I didn't have any idea of what that felt like. What that
Right,
experience was, nothing. I didn't know anything. At that time, I didn't even know I wanted to be a professional actress, model, dancer. I didn't even know I was a dancer. Like I just liked dancing.
right.
I didn't know anything. I didn't have any acting experience, nothing at the time. So I just put that in there.
That's
and here
so
we are now.
awesome.
Yeah,
And here
yeah,
you are, we were in a play and she was not only acting, she was dancing and even singing
yeah,
with you. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Aya, you're like such a pleasure to be friends with and to have you on. And I believe all your dreams are going to come true just by the way you are mentally healthy and checking yourself spiritually and emotionally. This is so awesome. I hope our
Thank you,
listeners will be able to really get all these golden nuggets that you just gave. It's like it's just bomb. It's awesome. I love it. If
thank you.
people want, you're welcome. If people want to get in touch with you, or see your work, do you have an Instagram or your blog or webpage or anything you want to share with anyone?
Yeah, so I think the easiest would be just finding me on Instagram as Hoja Aya. So it's HOJA.AYA,
Okay,
or my website, HOJAAYA.com. So
some awesome.
yeah, I'm kind of entertaining ideas as well, and like in terms of how can I continue to make a difference by sharing my story. And well, my brother makes fun of me. He's like, oh, you're just too positive. And I'm like, well, yeah, I
Yeah,
am positive. Like, why be negative? Like, we only have such a short amount of life to live, and might as well
right.
enjoy it, make mistakes, embrace those mistakes, and keep learning and keep evolving. And if you can make a positive impact while living, do it. So
That's so awesome. I hope your brother will stop making fun of you and actually emulate you. Okay.
thanks. He has hope for me, so it's good. It's all good. I
Oh,
love him.
I want to thank you so much, and I so appreciate you, and thank you so much for sharing with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.